Hey, folks, before we get into our normal programming for Off the Ropes, it seems to be an unfortunate trend now that before we have our podcast, we are going to talk about the misunfortunate lives lost in the wrestling community. And in this case, since our last podcast and now, we have lost three specific ones for the WWE that we want to just acknowledge, share our personal stories with some of them, maybe relate to them quite a bit. The first set was actually back to back, which was very heartbreaking, and that was the death of Jerry the King Lawler's son, known in the wrestling community as Grandmaster Sexay, and also right after that, Ivan Volkov, which was one of
same day.
Golden age of wrestling time frame. And then more recently, in this case,
couple weeks
Matty
ago,
Neidhart's father passed, Jimmy the Anvil Neidhart, and all of them just died in very unfortunate scenarios. And I don't want to get into too much detail, but I do know that when it comes to some of the better memories I had of some of them, well, the one that immediately I'm relatable to is because he was part of my generation was Grandmaster Sexay. Too Cool was one of my favorite tag teams. I absolutely loved the angle they gave when they added Rikishi to the fold, and they were just doing all the big dances where Sky Tuhati would do the worm, Grandmaster Sexay would just do the jumping around, and Rikishi would do the ass dance jiggle, which I could have swore was twerking before twerking was a thing. And it's just one of those great moments. And the other two, I'm going to have to give it up to my man here, Faded Saint, because he had more of a really personal experience knowing the WWE before the Attitude Era, and they were more involved then. This was before the Montreal School job. This is before Hogan decides to say, screw it, I'm going to WCW, and pretty much makes the whole trend that happens in the 90s exist. This is before that, especially with Ivan Volkov. Any thoughts?
Nikolai was one of the original Russian heels. He goes back to the territory days. And he was his career was winding down as I was getting into wrestling in the 80s. He was part of a tag team and something like that. But still, he was one of the ones that built the Russian heel that you see Rusev doing today, and the Anvil was one of my favorites. He was a part of one of my favorite tag teams of all time, the Hart Foundation. And it's kind of unfortunate the way all of this has happened. This has been just a real bad month for wrestlers, as it is. He had just been diagnosed with Alzheimer's not too long before all this happened, and so. Our sincerest condolences go out to the families of the deceased, and we had to do one of these last time, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
This is not a great trend. Let's see if we can get out of it. But we've got a fun show for you guys, and we got a lot to talk about. My colleague is back. Thankfully, he was not permanently injured from the assault on Titan Tower. I just got to know before we get into it. I know you threw your back out trying to do the German suplex, but did you actually get it? Did you get it any off the ground at all? Was there any lift there? Or
there was full lift. That's the reason my back went out.
Okay.
So, in this case, I definitely took the full crutch, went full bend. Problem is that the Big Show was on the other end of the building. And it made
it counterbalanced back in the other direction. Okay,
made a huge splash out of it. But it was a nice experience. We had some tea time, just to air out our differences because of the pay-per-view before that. So everything's back to normal. Turned out to just be one awesome ending, like a sitcom.
Well, talk us in, because we've got nothing to do but the talking now.
Yes, indeed. Well, rest in peace for everybody involved, and of course, I'm Kane Super Hwat Snooker, and that is over there, Kami the Faded Saint, and this is Off the Ropes. Welcome back, folks, to Off the Ropes. Of course, my name is Payne Snooker, and I got my over there from Nolan's Comedy the Faded Saint. And oh boy, we're gonna need to make a rule before we do anything now.
No. Okay.
New rule. Whatever NXT happens to happen at NXT is gonna be like the Las Vegas rule. Whatever happens in NXT stays in NXT. And it doesn't move on into Sunday when it comes to thinking about matches and how things should have been done and all that kind of stuff. We can't say NXT did it better. They're in the whole universe now that if we do this, it's gonna be a miserable time every time we watch a pay-per-view.
They really make it like really difficult to like sit there and get behind the big pay-per-view. Like I almost feel like they should like make the big one that weekend, and then do NXT like with one of the smaller shows, so that it doesn't feel like up. Which, by the way, recently, hold on, before you say anything, until then, let's just agree that when we talk about NXT, we don't bring in any sourpuss motions going into SummerSlam when we talk about SummerSlam. Oh no, SummerSlam gave me all the sourpuss moments, all and feelings, all by it, without NXT doing it. SummerSlam managed to piss me off all on its own. Yeah, which you folks, you might be interested to know that we might have some conflicting differences on how we felt about SummerSlam. Oh, I'm willing to bet that's a big thing. That's a for sure there.
But I did cut you off. What did you want to say? What was that?
I was saying recently in a list, NXT New Orleans made the top of the best NXT takeovers to be produced.
Well, that was one also just at the North America title, right?
Yeah, that was the one with the two 5-star matches. That was the one that Vest and I got to see together live, and all I can say is like we do it better in New Orleans. So give us 4 NXTs here instead of Brooklyn.
You gave us WrestleMania 30, so I'll give you 100% on that. But of course, we're talking about this past month's big events, which was NXT Takeover Brooklyn and
Brooklyn 4.
Yes, Quattro. And of course, Summer of the Slams, the Space Jam, Come On and Slam if you want to jam, SummerSlam event of the night. These are the 2 pay-per-views that we were talking about. And of course, we just had a really good time with NXT. But before we get into that, how you feeling, baby?
I'm feeling great, man. Like, we're about to talk about some good wrestling, and then we're about to talk about some more good wrestling, and then we're going to talk about shit that pissed me off. So,
save the rantings to a minimum, though, sir. We do want to have an audience that doesn't want to fall asleep at the end.
Oh no! All the rantings come at the end. We're trucking through it, and of course that means we got to start off, like you said, with NXT Brooklyn 4. That would be of the Takeover variety. And they were not screwing around. They started off nice and fast with the Undisputed Era, this configuration being Roddy Strong and Beaker versus Mustache Mountain, Bates and Severn. And, I mean, they've done, like, a ton of really great matches, and this was just, like, the hat trick of them. They had one on the UK special where Mustache Mountain got the titles. They had that absolute killer on NXT regular TV where they did the whole throw in the towel angle, which I normally don't like those things. I think they're stupid, but the way that they put it out made it great, which led us to this match. And dear God, I was like, I know how this match is going to end. And even though the match did end how with the winners I thought it was, they had me going. Yeah, they had me going a few times.
I have to ask, the one half of the Mustache Mountain, that was the original United Kingdom champion, right?
Yes, Bates.
Okay, so yes, I do have to say one of the best things that NXT is doing so well is build up. They are really knowing how to make somebody want to watch a match when their pay-per-views come up, and I think this is I think I've cracked the formula, Faint. I think I did.
Okay. Well, you actually watched this one. This is like the first one you actually watched in a while, live.
I've actually watched even the NXT shows.
Okay. All right.
I've decided to invest a little bit more time into watching these because NXT has the roots. And I think I've cracked a formula that is why they're doing so well.
Okay.
The formula is Mid-South style vignettes, promos, and story arcs with modern tech and flying maneuvers styles.
Yeah.
So they take the old school style of how they get captivate an audience, like throwing in the towel, the manager interfering stuff, the promos where the big guys don't talk, and you got the one big manager in the middle talking about everything else. The feuding between both of them just as a straight out head-to-head, face-to-face feud. We're not fighting right now. We'll fight later kind of thing, where that formula is totally Mid-South wrestling. That's totally where Jerry's King Lawler's territory was, where Jim Cornette's territory was. These are all big moves that drew the audience in. And it was great because what happened was they didn't. One of the things I see that fails a lot, and this is killing me, is that when you watch Raw or SmackDown, when someone comes out to have a beef with somebody, they automatically book it like 5 minutes into the thing. Like, all right, you're going to fight right now between each other. No build up. And it's a lot of times they end on a cheap move to call that the build up, but it's not really the build up. That's just the trug along to the next episode of Raw. And then they do it again, and then it just desensitizes the whole idea of being salivated for a match. I mean, like, let's face it, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. I know we're talking about the future right now at SummerSlam, but the situation at hand here is that it was the only match that we were looking forward to for only one reason, and that was just so the belt would go away. You know, not because, and it's ironic because this is the only one where they didn't fight each other on every pay-per-view, on every Raw. This was just waiting for Brock to come back and say, okay, I'll go to this pay-per-view now. And that's it. But right now, it's just everything like that. But in NXT, they don't have match after match. They don't put piece after piece. Now, some of it could be the fact that it's recorded, but let's face it, it's still one show they tape for like 3 weeks, and they still have to make it work. So, you know, it works out. It works out in the end, and I think that's what makes it good. It makes it like, oh, I can't wait for this match. You know what I mean? Like if someone like that match between those two builds up seldomly. It didn't go week after week of NXT to make it happen. It came up when it came up, and it concluded at the night that it concluded.
Well, I think also is that they treat wrestling like wrestling. It's not sports entertainment, and they play to the strengths of these guys that they pull off the indies. And this was a goddamn classic. This is why if they're not going to take tag team wrestling seriously, they just need to send the tag teams to NXT and let them do it.
Oh yeah.
Like nothing is, and we'll get into it a little bit. Nothing is just more depressing than watching the Revival right now. But
before SummerSlam, yeah, I would agree.
I mean, now that we're past SummerSlam, getting into some of the stuff that's happened since then, now it's a little bit better. But yeah. I mean, and we'll get to that. Mm-hmm. But in the end, this was a great match between the four absolutely best. Mustache Mountain, who the only reason why I didn't pick them to win was that I know that they're probably going over to enhance the NXT UK brand.
Oh yeah,
and you know. They need the titles for when Fish comes back so that the Undisputed Eras can implode. So it was the Undisputed Era over Mustache Mountain. And which brought us into the only non-title match of the night.
And a very good one.
A very good one, if only slightly tainted by the fact that one of them got a little injured and is going to be out for a little bit. And I'm, of course, talking about EC3 versus Velveteen Dream.
Okay, rip the Band-Aid right now. Who's injured?
EC3.
Okay, good. I'm sorry, Ethan Carter, but
it's not. It's not so super serious, but it is. You know,
it's not crazy shelving. It's just
It's not. Hey, we're not going to see you for like a few weeks. Have fun with that kind of deal. It's more along the lines of, hey, you're gonna be out for a couple of weeks, not months or anything like that.
Yeah, where you could probably still do promos and build up a situation for a pay-per-view, and that way he doesn't still have an issue with wrestling, but. I'm somewhat relieved, and I know EC3 is a great wrestler and all, and I enjoyed him coming into the fold, But Velveteen, man, has just been soaring white hot rocket space all around the world.
Were you a part of the conversation where we were saying who needed the match more to win?
No, I think that was just you and Vest, I think.
Yeah, that must have been, because I mean, it was one of these things where it was, you could make a case for either of them winning, and you could make a case for either of them losing. And so that what made it great, because Velveteen, even though he doesn't have a really stellar win-loss record, even when he loses, he seems to win.
Oh yeah, remember when Aleister Black?
Yeah, remember
a fantastic match.
Remember when Ricochet? Like, there was no way in the hell he was going to beat Ricochet, but goddamn if he didn't pull out a great match for it.
He's I call him the $1 million jobber.
Well, but, I mean, as far as this match,
but not goes. Everything. Yeah, it's everything else though. And that's not even a discredit to me, because the term jobber in my mind is someone who's really there to help enhance the talent, and adding the $1 million in the front of it means that he makes everyone also look goddamn good, including himself. And Patrick, that's how I know him, because that was who he was when he was in Tough Enough. Transformed.
I can't swim.
Greatly between then and Velveteen Dream. So I am looking forward to having him do what he's got to do. And I actually, the only request I have right now for NXT is don't jump the gun with him. Let him stew in NXT for a lot longer.
Yeah, it's him and Johnny Gargano next week.
Yeah, that's right.
But I mean, this match was a match. Was a tale of two matches. The first part of it was all Ethan Carter III, right up until that really wicked looking neck breaker, which I think is what he got injured on, and then it was all Velveteen for the rest of the match.
What about that fireman's carry on the side apron?
Not the side apron. It was when he actually when he took the bump on the ramp.
I think that was a game changer too.
It was.
Yeah,
they both were, but I think
wasn't it a fireman's carry?
No, it was the bump on the ramp that injured him.
Oh, okay.
That injured him.
Yeah, gotcha.
But yeah, it was a tale of two. It was a tale of two matches, but it was beautifully done. Even Ethan, whether he was knocked out or not, I've heard conflicting reports, did a great job. I mean, this is what you want your non-title matches to be like. It felt important without needing a belt to feel important. And I was happy with it. But in the end, there can only be one. And on this particular night, it was all about the Velveteen Dream experience, baby.
Velveteen Dream.
Which brought us in to, oh my God, King Ricochet versus Adam Cole, baby, for the United States Championship. Oh, the North American Championship. I'm sorry. My bad. And dear freaking God, there is somebody who Vest knows, who I just kind of know, who's also a wrestling fan. And way back when Adam Cole was signed, he said something along the lines of Adam Cole is good at doing two things: whining and saying his name. Here's the thing. No. Because he has like freaking ace matches with everyone, and I mean, if you have a bad match with Ricochet, that's kind of on you. But true. I mean, this was a fantastic match. Once again, this was one of these matches which I could see going either way, because there's no harm in losing to Adam Cole. Ricochet would have kept his cred then.
It's also the match that brought us the kick to hurt around the world.
Jesus, ow! Like, this was stiff. This was high flying. There was all sorts of things. The last shot, this, that, and the other. It was just here and there.
Pure pandemonium. In a rules match of all things.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't there wasn't any. Yeah, there wasn't any kind of weird stipulation or anything like that. It was all pretty straight up, and
also that kick her in the world, folks. What that means is that Ricochet went to go for some kind of plunger move off the side ropes, and when he was in mid fucking air, while his head was already coming down,
he was doing a backflip moonsault, is what he was doing.
Yeah, something like along the lines of that, and all of a sudden, Adam Cole, baby, with the shuffle kick right in the face while he's in the middle of the air. Just the kaplunk sound you heard between the kick and his drop was just so well orchestrated. It made it look like death.
It was it looked harsh, man. Yeah, like that was rough.
Busted.
And Cole could not have done that any better. But in the end, our heroes persevered, and once again, or not once again, your new North American champion, Ricochet.
I can't wait. I can't wait for that. So there's so much going to happen.
Here's where the question comes in. Dream and EC3.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you say won that match? The face or the heel? Because you know my thing with the NXT. Yeah. You can only ever have two faces win, and this is going to play into later. But I'm just realizing now that
question: who's the face and who's the heel in this? Because EC3 is definitely heelish, and Velveteen Dream's definitely heelish.
Yeah, that's my question. Like, does because they're both heels, does automatically the heel get that one?
I think it's anti-hero. I think Velveteen Dream would be the anti-hero here. Like he'll be dickish, but he still has a righteous cause. Where EC3 cut that promo after the match, saying that I'm still going to be 100% the top. I'm still top 1%, even after this match loss. Like that kind of stuff.
Right.
So he was the heel that was running that deal in that scenario. But Velveteen is definitely not 100% face. He's dickish with a righteous cause.
Sorry, I didn't mean to throw a monkey wrench in that. It's just I for my own bookkeeping purposes, I need that.
Ricochet is 100% babyface in this.
Oh yeah, no, there was never any question that Ricochet was the babyface. It was just that last match because depending on how I play it, I'm either right on with my usual predictions with my formula, or I'm not. But it all hinges on that match.
Yeah, they're fucking with you, man.
But at any rate, that brings us to this match. Of course.
Before you even begin.
Okay, all right. Do it. Go. It's all you, bro.
We're going to take a trip. We're going to go on our time machine a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go back in time.
Okay.
I had some deep hatred for Kairi Sane.
I remember.
At the first Mae Young.
I remember.
Against the same person known as Shayna Baszler. And I wanted Shayna to win so bad.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. and
like that match where once I took the blindfolds off, I realized that was a really good match for what it was.
Yeah.
And then I saw this one. And I went, why did I make a big deal about Kairi Sane?
I don't know, man. I don't know why. And of course, we are. If you haven't figured it out yet, we are of course talking about the NXT Women's Champion Shayna, the Queen of Baszler, and Kairi Sane.
Now, and if you were watching NXT between these, they did a really good job building this matchup.
Oh yeah, this job.
They made it very convincing that Shayna was going to literally prison rape this woman bad to the point where she does not want to wrestle ever again. Straight up fist in the ass hard, and it was great. And then the match happened, and they were like all around each other. Clearly, the communication was way off. What's worse is they ended it on such a what the fuck happened moment. I'm
glad you brought up the first match, because did you realize that it was practically the same ending as the first match in the Mae Young Classic? Yep. Yep. Shayna goes and puts her in the Coquita Clutch Light, and somehow Kairi pinned her in the Mae Young Classic because she wouldn't let go of the hold, and that's how she won then. And that's how she won now.
You know what though? It could be. You know what it could be? It could be the fact that they don't practice with each other. And this was like, hey, let's do some stuff we already spotted each other on already. If you remember it, I don't know, but it was that one was way better than this one though.
I agree, and this wasn't a bad
No,
match.
in many ways it wasn't. But you know what? You could smell the stink off Shayna Baszler. Like, I feel like she's in the background going, "Fuck you, pay me," kind of attitude in the back. I don't think
she is. I just don't think they know how to write her.
No,
I really don't, because she can be a decent wrestler.
She's still choppy. She was choppy in that match, and it could be miscommunication for all I know.
See, I thought they took the belt off of her because I thought that they were gonna bring her in on SummerSlam, and she was going to be their out for the Raw Universal Championship. But
you know what it is? I guess they just had to. I think they had to right some wrongs on title convergences.
I don't know what, but I mean, it was a decent match. It's nothing to write home about.
Mom.
To the surprise of no one, I've been very, very critical of Shayna Baszler, mostly because she has the power, Ronda Rousey's friend.
Yeah,
but I mean, this wasn't a bad match, but this wasn't as good as their one from the Mae Young Classic. And in the end, your winner by fucking roll up again, Kairi Sane. And oh my god, she was just so adorable after the match, just crying and just like, "Oh, I finally made it. We love you, Kairi.
Like we made it.
We love you, Kairi. Please don't come to the main roster where they'll ruin you like they ruined Asuka." Which means now we got to talk about the main event.
Hold the fucking button. Where is Asuka?
Just SmackDown somewhere.
No, that's not even somewhere.
I don't know. Like she's like in the back of catering or something.
Man, did someone?
No, you know what it is. It's because nobody's ready for Asuka.
Literally.
So they got nothing for her because nobody's ready for it. Like Asuka shows up, it's like, "Hey, I'm here to do." It's like, yeah, we're not ready for you yet. So just, I don't know. But the problem is that the way they built her up is that she's a fucking division killer. So you can't put her on the screen because the moment she's on the screen, it's like, "Oh, why isn't Asuka like vying for the championship?" And everyone's like, "That's a good fucking question. Why isn't she?" So they're trying to do out of sight, out of mind, and then hopefully she comes back heel and just kills everyone except for Becky.
I really hope so.
But moving along,
it's like 2 months now.
As I change the graphic to this next match, I want to say, are you a Mel Brooks fan? Like Mel Brooks movies, like you like the Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs.
Of course.
Yeah, are you a fan of the movie Spaceballs?
Of course.
Okay, so I want you to keep that in mind because the next match we're talking about is, of course, the best heel in the business, Tommaso Ciampa, versus Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano in a last man standing match, and they might as well have just taking a line straight out of Spaceballs and said, "Because good is dumb." Because that is the tagline of this feud. This was a great match.
Oh, fuck.
I thought this match was better than the one that they had at the last Takeover in Philadelphia or wherever it was.
Maybe.
I don't know if it was better than the first one that they had.
Definitely not.
But
that one had the most nuclear heat for Tommaso Ciampa too.
But, I mean, well, that, and I was there live. Like, I felt, like, the pure hate. Like, I was like, ooh, this is what a disturbance in the force feels like. I'm not sure I like this at all. But, I mean, it was one of those things where it was hard-hitting. It was a last man standing match. They did great. Everyone played it. Like, the whole Johnny descending into madness thing was nice. And there was so much good about it. But then you get right there to that ending. Right up against that ending. And then that's where it just all starts going wrong. Because, again, why did Tommaso Ciampa win? And he won. And I'm happy he won because I thought for sure they were going to cut the feud short and send Ciampa up. But they're going to let this go on a little bit longer. But how did it end? With Johnny Gargano, once again, having Ciampa, having him dead to rights, handcuffed in both situations. And somehow he does the stupidest thing and handcuffed. beaten to a pulp, your winner, Tommaso Ciampa, because Johnny Gargano is dumb. I mean, am I wrong?
No.
That's my one criticism of this, is that in order to make this feud continue going, they have to make Johnny Gargano the stupidest person on the planet. They do that a lot with faces.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I was listening to some of our old shows, and, like, way back in the day, like, we were talking about, like, when the whole team PCB disintegrated and then got back together, like, 2 weeks later, just to disintegrate the same night again. It's like, how stupid is Charlotte and Becky that didn't see this coming?
Everywhere.
Exactly. But, I mean, it was a great match. This was a great event overall. I mean, do you have anything to say about the match? Anything to add to that?
Honestly, I thought it was probably... I don't care for the handcuffs situation. But, you know what? That's the whole good as dumb situation in my mind, you know?
I mean,
he literally gave the ability for him to stand on his feet.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, the whole thing is that if you're going to handcuff him, why would you go and why would you risk screwing up your leg with a running knee? Why not just beat him to death with a crutch? That means just as much. But that was NXT Takeover Brooklyn Quattro. And I mean, like, we need to come up with a different system because, of course, like, letter grade, this gets an A. Like, I don't know how not to give Takeover. Like, I think the lowest a Takeover has ever gotten was I think it got a B-. Well,
I guess we could always do percentages.
I mean, it's an A. This was clearly the best event of the weekend.
Yeah, I would say A- was my number.
I'd give it a straight A. Not A+. A+ is reserved. You got to beat Takeover New Orleans to get an A+ now. But I mean, it was a great event. You know, if you haven't seen it yet, go see it right now. Do it. Do it
now. I dare you.
But that brings us into, and before we get to the break here, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the pre-cook for SummerSlam, and we're just going to knock it out because there wasn't really much here to talk about. Of course, the first match being Rusev Day, Lana and Rusev versus Cien, Almas, and the Lady Ciampa. I forget what they're calling her because I just keep calling her the Lady Ciampa all the time, and Selena Vega. Rusev Day lost. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, about that.
I mean, what can you say? Like, they don't appreciate Lana like we do. They don't appreciate Rusev like we do.
They appreciate love like we do.
They don't. It's unfortunate. And
another part of Vince hating,
I guess. But moving on from that, we had the definitely deserved to be on the main show, Cedric Alexander versus Drew Gulak.
Oh yeah.
And this is kind of setting the precedent for disappointment in title matches for the night of SummerSlam. This is a really great match. Drew has been really doing some of his best work ever in 205 Live. If you guys have been sleeping on 205 Live, Triple H is really making that an A show. They really need to do something else with it so that it can get more exposure.
Well, let's face it, his hand is in NXT, his hand is in 205 Live, his hand is not in Raw and SmackDown.
If Raw and
do the math.
Yeah, if Raw and SmackDown had like Triple H behind it, or if 205 Live and NXT had the freaking boss behind it. Yeah.
You know what? I have to say the one I have to be the devil's advocate somewhat.
Okay.
But the main reason why you can't have the main roster like NXT or 205 Live is then if the people like you and I get what we want, they're not going to make money at all.
Maybe not.
Because Roman sells merch. John Cena sells merch.
John Cena sells merch.
Braun Strowman sells us decent merch, but he doesn't sell children merch. And that's where the money goes. I'm sorry, but this is, if we're going to pay...
I would say Braun sells merch. I would argue that Roman sells merch, but
sells more merch than Raw.
Maybe. I would like to see those numbers myself, but
it's there's a different mental state for them, which is why I'm advocating that we need to make sure we disassociate NXT pay-per-views with these, because of the fact that if what we get happens, it's awesome writing and amazing experiences. But let's face it, we're not out buying every single thing that wrestler has for merch. We got
real jobs, man. We can't afford that.
So, but the father who works a decent damn job, whose kid wants a John Cena shirt that costs half the price because it's a kid's shirt or something. I
am going to counter what you say, but I'm going to counter it later on in the show. Right. But Gulak, of course, did not win. Cedric Alexander, still your 205 Live Cruiserweight Champion. And that brought us to the last match of the pre-cook, which was the absolute most infuriating bullshit that I've ever seen in my life. That was the B team. Well, it was the most infuriating bullshit up until that point in the night that I'd ever seen in my life. It was the B team versus the Revival. Okay, I get it. The B team is really lucky. That's their whole gimmick or whatever. And man, they need to figure something else out for this, because this whole "we get lucky and that's how we win" thing is not. It was funny when they did it the first time with Matt and Bray. It was funny the second time they did it with Matt and Bray. It was all right the third time they did it, but now it's just fucking stupid at this point. The Revival is a real tag team, is a goddamn real tag team. Give them a run with the belts. If you're not going to do it on Raw, send them over to SmackDown. The New Day has had I love the New Day, but they don't need the belts to get themselves over. They really don't.
True.
I mean, and the Revival needs a good run at the tag team championships. That's what they need. That's what they freaking deserve. And for reasons that are just fucking beyond me, they just keep sleeping on them, and they keep sleeping on them, and they keep sleeping on them, and it's I don't fucking get it. I don't get it at fucking all. But the with the fucking like accidental roll up, the B team still your Raw championships, yay! And that was the fucking pre-cook. And we're going to go on break. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about the SummerSlam proper. And yeah, that's going to be a thing. We will see you after the break.
See you soon, folks.
On behalf of Kane Superwood Snuka and myself, the Fated Saint, we would like to thank All Arounda for our opening theme, Destruction, and Me Chet for our closing theme, Picnic in the Reactor. And today we have a nice mashup from Over the Pond. Two of my favorite wrestlers from the Emerald Islands. It is Sheamus versus Drew McIntyre, Gallon Fire by HJ. Enjoy.
Welcome back. I'm your boy, Coming to the Faded Saint. That's my boy, Kane Super. What, Snooka? And this week we are brought to you by the Slap Tournament over on the Slap stream. That's twitch.com/splice stream. I will put a link down in there. We are actually here at Faded Saint Presents. We are actually sponsoring this Super Smash tournament that is going on next month. We did the last one. We're doing this one. My friend runs it, Splice J. He is not a wrestling fan, but he appreciates the fact that we are actually, helping him out do what he does, and we're getting a little play in the meantime as well. And as you can see, we're just rolling straight into SummerSlam here, and we are not going to miss a beat because the very first match was Seth with Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler with freaking Drew McIntyre for the Intercontinental Championship, and this was just like 30 minutes of guys like we were both like, all right, here we go. This is what we want now, wasn't it? Like
I don't even know where to begin with this. They first of all, Nerdgasm 101. If anyone didn't catch this, Seth Rollins' attire was full Thanos from the Avengers.
Yep.
That was his outfit. And I just freaking flipped a shitload when that happened. That was that. Then we got pretty much the match of the night. I mean, they could have literally said, "Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming to SummerSlam," and we'd have been like,
"Cool, bro."
Yeah,
we'd have been like,
because the steam ended there, man. When it comes to like fucking amazing, like everything after this was still enjoyable, but this is the
best match of the night.
If this went last, people would have a whole different opinion of SummerSlam. Whole different opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, just, you know what? Let's hypothesize. Let's pretend they switched Roman versus Brock as the first card title, and they put.
We all knew that was never going to happen, but I mean,
title. Tell me, people would have thought of SummerSlam differently.
It would have been much better than what we got.
But tell me, they would have thought of SummerSlam differently.
Oh, they would have totally thought of SummerSlam.
They got Roman out of the way in the beginning. The belts differently in a different situation, and.
Well,
we get an amazing match at the end.
They also could not have done the ending that they did had they not did it in that way.
True.
So they would have had to have done something else. But
this, by the way, was wasted anyway. So
we will get to that. But I mean, this was a fast-paced match. If you saw the Iron Man match, and you could look past the stupid crowd shit, this was better than that match even, and that match was pretty damn good. These two work well together. You added Dean to the mix, and Dean looking freaking swole as shit and looking like he was pissed. And Drew, man, let me tell you, this was the match of the night. Starting off, bar none, your winner and new Intercontinental Champion, Seth Rollins.
Oh, such a good way too. It was just a great rematch. The only thing I have to say that I didn't like, it didn't make a difference to me, was Dean. No, I
liked him. I liked him getting in Galloway's face, and I liked the interaction. But they could have done more with him. I agree. Mm-hmm. But then things start going off the rails, and I love the New Day. I love the Bludgeon Brothers, but I was not on with this match at all. This was a squash match. This is the same match we've been getting since WrestleMania with them and with the Usos, and they've just been running through everyone. And quite honestly, I'll spoil it for you right now. To the surprise of no one, the Bludgeon Brothers won the match. It was more competitive than I expected it to be, and they kind of tore Rowan's bicep. So
they did it. They did it with the known ability of the fact that they realized they're gonna have to change it up again because they got hurt. They were injured again.
Yep. So Rowan injured himself in this match, and they did the title switch on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, your winner's the SmackDown Championship, but I mean, I love the New Day. I really do. They are one of the best acts out there. But can we please get them away from the tag titles? Can we please just put them on anyone else? Can we get them on a different tag team? The New Day has transcended the titles at this point. I want to see them go single runs at this point. Still stay a unit, but like single runs and go after some single titles here.
Yeah, go full evolution on them.
Yeah, let's do something new. Let's do that. We're just gonna go right past it, and we go from one kind of a squash to, which really wasn't a squash, it was more competitive, but to the first of 3 fucking squashes in the night. That is, of course, Mr. Monster in the Bank, Braun Strowman, versus your hero and mine, who deserves so much fucking better than he got. The fucking number one heel in the WWE, or number one face in the heel in the WWE right now, despite the fact how they are freaking portraying him. Kevin Owens, and you know what? Yep, this is the one that gets it started. I got this far, and yep.
Both. I feel both of them got jilted. Braun didn't need a squash. KO didn't need to get squashed, and it was just terrible. It's honestly the only reason why they thought of this was so they wanted to make sure that he was viable for the secret ending they wanted to do at SummerSlam.
And that secret ending is not even going to kill his heat.
Nope.
In the end, this is going to lead this one match, this one little squash match, which Kevin Owens got one kick of offense, and then it was just like 2 minutes of just Braun killing him.
Whole Bum City.
And, Braun won, but when we start talking about how bad shit's going to get in the main event of Raw over the next couple of months, this is the match that started it right here. You change this match to the opposite happening, and you've got a completely different storyline, and probably a lot better storyline, and one that we can stomach a little bit better. I really don't have much to say about that match. Do you?
No. I mean, we're actually talking longer than the actual match.
Yeah, and we'll move it along then. It was Charlotte Flair versus Becky Lynch, and I guess Carmella was there because she was the champion too and had to be there because title. And she should have just shown up, and she took the pin, I think, but that was about it. But the freaking, once again, with the SummerSlam, the pay-per-view of disappointment, everyone wanted it.
Yeah.
Everyone wanted Becky to win. Of
course. It would have been the perfect piece. But you know what? We know that we wanted her to win, but we also, I'm going to say this as boldly as I'm going to say it.
Okay.
We got the biggest babyface turn ever.
Oh, I agree. I will say that this match really ticked off my brother. My lovely, sweet, would give you the shirt off of his back brother. Becky Lynch is his favorite wrestler, and he just lost it when they turned her heel. And he made some valid points. One of the biggest points he made is that they do not know how to make faces, and so when the faces inevitably fail, they turn them heel because they don't know what the fuck else to do. And they're right in this instance. I get it, and I'm happy. I'm willing to say, all right, heel Becky is a good thing, because at least now it gives her something to do. Like before this, we didn't see her for 6 months?
Something like that.
Yeah. And this is already elevating the SmackDown Women's Championship. Did you see they did that pull apart last week?
Yeah.
And they had all the girls come out to do it rather than have officials do it. I enjoyed that. And I feel bad for Carmella, because she's kind of like the third banana in her own title match.
So, and you know what? You got to see some of her NXT qualities come out this pay-per-view, and the matches to follow after that. Because let's face it, a lot of these women did come from NXT, and they knew how to wrestle then. Mm-hmm. They come over to the main roster, and they get downsized by the patriarch of the WWE fancy known as the Flash and Flair dance. I mean, I'll give you some context, folks. Hulk Hogan, arguably probably the most charismatic wrestler of the 80s. When you think of wrestling back in the 80s, you think of Hulk Hogan. Why? Because he was the say your prayer, eat your vitamins, go to stay in school kids kind of wrestler. And he was all glitz and glam. He was hulking up. He had the flair. Then he had the leg drop, which was a non-existent move when it comes to beating someone up. But man, did he make that leg drop move like Flash and Flair and dance. So we got the entertainment side of wrestling protruding out of Vince's side of the world. Well, when Hulk Hogan left the WWE for a bit and went over to New Japan, they told him he could not do the leg drop because this is not a community that provides flash and flare as their finishers. So he had to go and do a snapmare as his finisher. Yeah, that was his finisher in New Japan, a snapmare.
God, that's awful.
Because it's technical. And that's the environment over there. So gotta think that way. That's how Vince thinks, right?
Right.
So that's why Raw and SmackDown, the main roster, looks like a bunch of pop stars trying to wrestle, where NXT is a bunch of hard hitting, technical smashing pro wrestlers. So when they go from that side of the fence to this side of the fence, they lose a lot of that love and lust that we had, the luster that we had for their personas that they came from NXT for. So with that said, very few come through the mold. Charlotte is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
She does really good on both sides of the fence because she had a goddamn father who pretty much raised her how to do it. You had...
Her father's the most textbook heel there is.
Yeah, and also the most mic-friendly, charismatic from the Mid-South ever. So he can make everything. He can make a bag of shit look like $1 million. And that's just how Ric Flair is. And obviously you see that inside of Charlotte. But what's good about Charlotte is she was an athlete before this. So she has both worlds really working in her favor. Even though a lot of her moves are obviously flash and flare, that's because Vince wants that. But Carmella got the whole screaming Mimi route for most of her career on SmackDown when she went over. But in this triple threat match and the match that happened after that on SmackDown the following week, the 2 weeks from then, you got to see some of that old that classic NXT style of her wrestling, not that chicken shit heel stuff.
No, and I agree with you. She's
so
underrated.
I do have, and my whole point of why I'm arguing this too is because you're right. She had a really good scenario, and it was just so unfortunate she was caught in this obvious angle that they were going to go with after this. Yeah. So it was kind of like when you and your partner make a decision on having a threesome. Mm-hmm. And then that third person is involved, and then if you find out they're just sitting there in the chair, they don't even get used. They're just sitting there like, why'd you ask for this? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, again, like I said, it's a shame that she was the third wheel in her own title match. But
yeah,
Charlotte,
who's Brock Lesnar?
Yep, Charlotte over Becky and Carmella. Your new SmackDown World Heavyweight Champion,
and of course,
followed by the heel turn, the biggest heel turn that wasn't a heel turn.
I'm air quoting folks when I say that face turn
because nobody bought it.
Yeah,
nobody's still buying it. Everyone's cheering.
You know what? You could take the angle. You could take it on an angle, take it on a spin that she's just fed up, and the big corporate machine is just taking her down, and it's Becky's time. And she knew that. Charlotte, actually, if you think about it, is a piece of shit heel in this case because she moseyed into a clear singles match that was going to happen.
But that's the booking now. That's the same booking that they did with Braun and KO.
I know.
Braun is doing heel shit to KO, but they present it in a way that they want you to boo for the face.
It's so weird though. But but you have to think about it though. She weaseled her way into the triple threat.
She did.
Carmella also kind of made it more obvious. Carmella did do some things that made her believe that Becky was being done dirty by Charlotte. And then, as far as it goes, that was the whole scenario for that build-up. So when she looks like she got fed up, it looks like a face turn, not a heel turn.
And I agree with you, but that's not what they want. We both know that's not what they want.
Yeah. So they're trying to make her even more angry following onward,
And and the crowd's not having any of it.
No,
but
not.
But speaking of anger, Jesus shit. This is the second best match of the night. Maybe not for the wrestling, but for the freaking storyline. Of course, we're talking about the match that should have ended the show. The match that should have ended the show. AJ Styles should always be the end of the show. AJ Styles should always be the end of the show. AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe.
Oh, Wendy!
Oh my god. Okay, I do have to preface this. This match was great. It was kind of a cheap ending with the freaking DQ ending.
Disagree.
I have a problem. Really, guys, you shouldn't have gotten his daughter involved because his daughter looked legit like fucking scared.
I don't think she understood the full grasp.
No, she looked pretty freaking terrified about that.
And I have a feeling they tried talking to her about it, but Samoa Joe did not make that easy at all. So even if you tell your kid this is a fake scenario, we're doing this. Just like when you take somebody take a little kid to a haunted house. These are all just little monsters playing pretend. Right. It's not going to be scared shitless, you know.
I mean, the match started off very technical and very good, and then it got brawly, and then Joe got on the mic and told Wendy that he'd be her daddy. And I like vicious AJ who lost it.
Yeah.
And it was just all from there. This was the second best match of the night. If Rollins and Dolph hadn't happened, and again, here's another match that should have gone on last. Once again, the WWE devaluing the real world title they have, the one with all the lineage, not the stupid red one they made up, the actual one that has all of the lineage from all of the other wrestling.
The money.
Well, AJ Styles is money. Samoa Joe is money.
He's our make money, but it's not the make money. AJ is top merch, definitely in there. But he's not. I'm telling you, he's not Roman Reigns merch. He's not John Cena merch.
He's not John Cena merch, but hardly anyone is. Like John
Roman's
Cena,
like up there, dude. I'm sorry. I need to pull up numbers. You
know what? Let's do that for next time.
Yeah, no worries.
Next time we'll do that. Roman doesn't make New Day merch though. New Day makes a shit ton of merch. But I mean, this was a great match. Like this was a great match, and it was one of the matches where I could forgive this fucking ending. I'm ready for AJ Styles to give the title over to someone. I'm ready for Samoa Joe to have a title. But you know what? I'm not mad at the way this match ended, because that means that at Hell in a Cell we're going to get an even better match, probably in a Hell in a Cell. And these two in a cell, that's going to be good. That's going to be real good. You have anything to add to that?
I honestly am looking forward to Hell in a Cell. There's some really decent matches that are about to happen. I'm just keeping myself calm and collective about it, so that I don't want to walk in hyped.
Yeah, you don't want to get it up too high. But
yeah.
Speaking of Hell in a Cell and decent matches we've got coming up, the next match was a precursor to one of the matches that we're going to get at Hell in a Cell. And that was, of course, the match that we should have been on WrestleMania. Should have been paid off at WrestleMania. Daniel Bryan versus The Miz. And it was everything I could have wanted and more. Mm-hmm. Oh, crap! I don't know. Maybe this is the actual match of the night. I don't know. Because this is a good match, too. Like, I'm going back and forth.
I loved it because he is the modern day classic heel.
He is. The Miz. I even took it out, and if you remember, I said on Facebook, y'all been sleeping on the Miz.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really? Yeah, I mean, and this was the Miz pulled out some good freaking wrestling there, man. Let me tell you. He was not playing around. He was going toe for toe with Daniel Bryan. And Daniel Bryan was getting it. And in the end, once you knew Maurice was out there at the beginning of the match, you knew there were going to be some shenanigans. And of course, it was a loaded fist. And The Miz, knocking Daniel Bryan cold, is your winner. And again, not the ending I wanted. But I'm happy with it because it means we get more Daniel Bryan and Miz. I could do without Nikki. I could do without Brie and Maurice.
I think they stew the pot quite well. You know what? Maurice, yes.
My problem.
Brie's got to find her grounding again.
Maurice, my only problem is that she's a few months removed from being pregnant. That's really it.
That's her call.
That is her call, but that's just me worrying for her.
I really don't think Miz is the kind of guy that in the non-Kayfabe way is going to force her hand in things like, hey, I want you to do this with me. And she's like, I'm not sure. And he's like, well, you should, because it's going to make us like money. No, she's like, let me get involved. I want to get back into the gig, because you don't know exactly what's going on in their personal life when it comes to how she feels about a lot of these things, but she's been shelved from wrestling for a long time.
She has.
And and I think she might have gotten a taste for it when against John Cena and
Nikki
Bella, and then and this match might be a little bit more even-sided. I feel like this match, you can believe that Miz would win.
I'm optimistic about it. I'm just not. I just worry a little bit about her health being so soon after having a baby. That's it. That's really all it is. Okay. That's really all it is.
But you know what? She got back into fighting shape real fast.
She did. I mean, she's an athlete. And she's a mom.
Job. Yeah, fantastic job post SummerSlam with her and talking about Daniel Bryan, saying that he's Mrs. Brie Bella and that go ahead and collect your money from the Meet the Bellas and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
I saw it was a little good. By the way, side note, if you're not watching The Miz and Mrs., do it. That show has more heart and more dedication to knowing how a good wrestling couple is than anything that the Bellas or the Divas can provide.
Wrestling just takes up so much of my week, man. I can't add more wrestling shit to it. I can't.
They already had a short season, just 6 episodes. That was it. It was just
maybe
enough to enjoy.
Maybe if it's on Netflix. But moving on. Well, here's another one of our squash matches. Here was Constable Corbin versus the very surprising and very welcomed appearance of the Demon.
One thing we failed to mention until just now, and that's maybe because this is the most resourceful way of doing it. But again, SummerSlam pulled the WrestleMania moment and decided to 3-dimensionalize their screen with some things. Mm-hmm. I think the New Day had one. I think the Miz had one, but Roman had one. But Finn, I had to say, had the best one.
Well, yeah,
and that was the dark, ominous red cloud with the thunder going through it above us. Everybody, I thought that was real genius. I thought it worked really well.
Like the moment the lights went out, I was like, "Oh no, they're not gonna pull Demon Finn out for fucking no tennis playing Baron Corbin." And then he comes out, and you can see it all over my Facebook. I'm like, Demon Finn, this is not a drill. This is not a drill. And he came out, and it was just like, I was like, oh, so we're not getting any offense for Corbin tonight. Okay. And it was just Squash City.
Yeah, it was, but it was a good squash. It was a squash that was just deserved, actually.
Yeah, it was. And I'll end it on this. They really need to do something with Coachman, because Coachman possibly poked like a freaking thing, like a freaking logic hole in the whole thing. Because Coachman in the middle of this match is finished just whooping up on Corbin. It's like, one has to wonder why he doesn't bring the Demon out more often. And I was like, that's a good point, Coach. Yeah, Finn, why aren't you the Demon more often? And they're like, shh, I don't want to do the... So that was just the other thing. A lot of
makeup work.
Yeah.
I don't think they do the back anymore. But
no, they did. He had an eyeball in the back.
Oh, good.
But the Demon over the Constable.
The Daemon.
Which brings us to the United States Championship, the Rockstar Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy. And this is actually a pretty good match. Like, it wasn't like set yourself on fire like match, but it was a decent little outing for the both of them. And but it's really just the only problem with it is all this is really serving is just serving for the Jeff Hardy Randy Orton feud.
That's also true.
Which Shinsuke won, and then Randy Orton comes out, and then he acts like he's going to do something, and then he leaves, and that's the end of the match.
That's also true.
I mean, this match wasn't anything to write home about. I feel so sorry for Shinsuke, man. I hope he doesn't re-sign up, and I hope he goes back to New Japan, and he just fronts like the New Japan American Invasion. I really do. He deserves so much better than what he's been given here. He really has. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with Asuka. I mean, there's not really that much to say about this match because there's not that much that happened.
Would it really hurt them to give him the title once?
Apparently,
yes.
They had 4 chances to do it.
Well, I'm glad they decided to get a little further away from dick punching Shinsuke.
They almost did. He missed one in this match.
Yeah.
But Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jeff Hardy, and now he's doing this stupid gimmick where he's refusing to, where we don't deserve him as champion, so he won't defend it on television anymore. Anyway, we just got 2 matches left. Let's try and muscle through these.
No, we got 1 match left. Actually, no.
No, we got 2 because
we do have 2 matches, yes, but theoretically they're both 1 match in my mind because they're half matches each.
Are they?
Yes.
One's more like a spectacle than a match. I'll give you that. But let's get to the third and final squash of the night. Ronda Rousey versus Alexa Bliss. And I don't know what I was expecting. I mean, I know what I was expecting. I was expecting Shayna Baszler to come out and screw Ronda. But, I mean, God.
Which didn't happen.
Damn. This was like 2 minutes, if that. It was just Ronda beating the shit. Like feel good moment.
Like cat and mouse playing.
Natty came out in the Anvil's jacket from SummerSlam 1990, and that was a really feel good moment. Mm-hmm. And it was
they both had legendary attire on.
Yeah,
just keep in mind that she has the jacket that she was given by Rowdy's son.
By Rowdy, yeah. And but I mean, it was. What did Alexa do to deserve this? I mean, I get it. They wanted to get the title off of her so that they could have Ronda and Nikki Bella at Evolution. Yikes.
And apparently they wanted Alexa Bliss versus Trish. And that's happening too. So
I mean, I'm fine with Alexa Bliss and Trish, but
I'm not.
Here's the thing.
I actually really wanted Sasha versus Trish because of Royal Rumble.
Well, I don't know what to say. I mean, we were wondering how they were going to get out of putting the title on Ronda, and the answer was they weren't. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what they were going to do. And I don't know if this is good. I don't know if this is bad. It's not really fair to blame Ronda. She's just doing what she's told. Mm-hmm. And I'm stalling because I don't want to talk about the next match, the last match.
Well, I do have to ask the big question.
What's that?
What are they going to do from here on out? This is totally an awesome moment.
I don't know.
You know, like Ronda Rousey being the champion.
Like nobody can credibly beat her. Like maybe Nia Jax, like with half the women's roster helping her.
I don't know. I mean,
you can't jump her to Nikki
Cross,
Bella.
Oh, because I could see Nikki Cross being crazy enough to beat her.
Mm-hmm.
You know what?
But they would they would have to respect Nikki Cross, which they don't.
Can we tag that as WWE owes us money?
Okay, yeah, that's another one that WWE owes us money.
Just in case, if Nikki Cross is the only one who's batshit enough to beat Ronda Rousey for the women's title for the first time, I'm guessing it's going to be a year. It's got to be a fucking year.
Something like that. But we got to talk about this last one now.
Do we? I didn't get my
okay. So how do you want to do this? Because I've got a lot to say about this match, and I don't want to take for fucking ever with this. Of course, we're talking about the Universal Championship, the match that was always going to go on last. The Universal Championship, Brock versus Roman, and I've got a lot to say about this. Like you said, would you really call this a match? This is really this clocked in at about 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. And really the story of the match was the fucking bait and switch. Like the match is about to start, Braun comes out. And the moment Braun comes out, this is where things start going wrong. But Braun comes out and says that he's going to challenge whoever wins the match directly after the match. And though they go into this, they've got to end the match quickly bullshit. And then basically it's just a bunch of power moves. Brock is pretty much dominating. Brock decides for reasons that are unbeknownst to us because good is stupid or because Brock is stupid or whatever. He goes after Braun. He turns his attention away. Roman hits the spear. 1, 2, 3, you're winner. And the thing that they've always wanted, Roman Reigns beats Brock Lesnar, and people are cheering because they think they're going to get Brock versus Braun right then and there.
Oh God, that was the best. Well, here's the only. All right, so let's go back just a smidge. All right, so it's just Roman and just Brock Lesnar in the ring looking at each other, and you could hear the crowd already saying, "This is bullshit. You both suck. You can't." Like everything was going off in that fight. In that 4 minutes of announcing their match, all these chants were happening. Mm-hmm. Then you hear Braun Strowman's music. People blast the shit out of it. Then he gives this speech about how I'm not going to sit in the back waiting for you two bitches to end this. I'm going to come out here to let you know I'm right here waiting for this match to end. You and I are fucking bouting. And people are like, oh, Jesus Lord. And they're like throwing panties at Braun Strowman. Like panties everywhere. We're throwing at Braun Strowman.
Everyone's into it now.
Yeah, everyone's like, fuck him up. Fuck him
me
up.
too.
Like they were all into this. And
I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker, too.
And even worse is that you thought, like, the hook and line part was the very beginning of that match. Spear, Superman punch, spear, Superman punch, spear. And, like, the last spear, Kimura lock. And they're like, we're going to slow it down a little bit. Oh, wait, F5, this motherfucker. Oh, everything goes around. The real winner was the chair. Because Brock grabs a chair. He was about to go hit Roman with the chair. Roman spears him. The chair bounces back out of his hands, bounces into the mid rope, comes back right down on Brock's face. So technically the chair won the match, but he pins him 1, 2, 3. Yes, now we're back to where we were talking about, where your eyes went red, your hair was on fire just a minute ago, about how now we're gonna have a match between Braun and Roman, and
then it's the credits. Oh my God. Okay, so you know what? Let's actually do this before I go into my rant.
Best balls you could ever ask for.
That was SummerSlam. We're moving past we're moving past the match. We're back on the logo for SummerSlam again. That was SummerSlam. What is your letter grade for it?
I feel like I need to give this show a good grade for the cockery of blue balls they gave you at the end. That was like the balls on them to do that.
Okay.
And I also got to give mad props to Seth Rollins and in this case Dolph. I really enjoyed a lot of the mid card matches, even though some of them were like, what? I loved the Demon and everything. I loved how now going forward he's known as Human Finn and the Demon Finn.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
The Miz match was just pure good old fashioned heelery with the whole, hey, here's the brass knucks, my love. Boom! In the face. Give it back, my love. I win, bitches.
Bitches.
Causing probably one of the best rubber matches that are going to probably happen. And I hope it lasts until SummerSlam. Until WrestleMania. So I feel like this was the build-up one. And of course, there was a lot of title turnovers this whole weekend. So I'm going to give this a B+.
Okay. That's fair.
Balls on them, though. God! If that didn't happen at the end, real talk, see.
If that didn't happen to the end, there a lot changes, but it did. And there's a lot to like with SummerSlam. There really was. I love the Seth Rollins match. I love the Daniel Bryan Miz match. I loved the AJ Joe match. Those were clearly the matches. The squash matches I could have done without, but at least one of them was fun. I could have done without the New Day and the Bludgeon Brothers, but there wasn't any like egregious offenders. There was a lot to like about SummerSlam, which is why it's a goddamn shame I've got to give this fucking show an F.
Ooh.
Because here's the thing.
Unit, man.
Here's the thing. And this is why.
You know what? Hold on. Before you give your reason,
okay,
I want you to explain this while you have an open window of Seth Rollins looking at you. Go for it. Go ahead. I'm waiting.
Do you just want me to pull? I mean, I'm on the SummerSlam logo right now. Do you want me to put?
Face,
you know what? Just this once, I'm gonna pull up the entire title plate for the match, so that's what you guys are seeing. That's why you're seeing the title plate to acquiesce this request. Seth Rollins. Here's the thing.
Why you fail his pay-per-view?
This is not your fault, Seth. This isn't. It isn't. It's not your fault, Dolph. It's not your fault, Drew. It's not your fault, Dean.
Don't treat him like a child. Don't treat him like a divorced child.
Here's the thing. You don't get to play a bait and switch. 4.5 fucking years we have been playing this goddamn Brock and Roman game since WrestleMania 31. And you couldn't take your medicine. You couldn't, could you, WWE? Vince, you couldn't take your medicine that this was the fucking match that no one wanted. And I've heard all of the arguments at this point. I've heard the, Kami, that's the way the Money in the Bank thing works. You see this happen all the time with the Money in the Bank champion in the briefcase. That's the way this happens. I get that. But that's not... Except for Rob Van Dam. But I get that. But you don't get a pass on that. Your shitty ass main event that you have been fucking dead set on for 4.5 years that no one wanted. The main event that got you booed out of the freaking Superdome that I sat in and I helped boo you out of. The main event that wouldn't carry WrestleMania 31. The main event that you fucking cheesed over in Saudi Arabia. This match that nobody wanted. And you sit there and you say, we know you don't want this. We know. We're sorry. But if you sit through this match, we're going to give you something that you want. We're going to give you something that you want so bad that you could taste it. We are going to give you a Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar or whatever. We're going to give you something different for your main event. And you fucking lied to us. You fucking lied to us. And you know me. You know I've said it for 3.5 years now. How you end the show is important. How you end the show is what really sets the bar for what I'm going to do with what I'm going to view your show as. And when you can't take your medicine, if you had just given us that match, even if Braun had lost, you would have gotten a B at worst. You would have gotten a B for SummerSlam. But because you lied to me, because you fucking sat there and you couldn't take your medicine, because you sat there and it's like, here, you can have this if you just sit through and cheer our main event just once. And then you went, oh no. Just kidding. Lols. That is why SummerSlam, fuck you. Fuck the guy that wrote you. I will never watch you again. And that's why. Bam. Right there. Because I can't, because if they can't take their medicine for their shitty ass writing, I don't have to sit there and like it, and I don't have to give them a good grade.
Wait, are you quitting on WB altogether right now?
What's that?
Are you quitting on WB altogether right now?
I'm damn close. I really am.
That's going to take a huge spin on this show.
It will, but I mean, I'm dead serious. Like, this thing really, like, fucking really.
I don't know about that.
I'm not there yet.
I have a serious question for you, my man.
Sure.
Which parent? Which parent disappointed you too much in your life?
Raw. No, very clearly.
Real life, not the shows. Which parent, mom or dad, said, son, we're going to go and we're going to get ice cream together, and you got so many promises that just never happened that you're going to give this show an F because Big Daddy Vince provided you a promise.
It's not just the promise.
No!
It's
not
the fact
again!
It's not just the promise. It's the fact that they couldn't take the medicine. They dug their grave, and then they were like, no, Braun, go lie in the grave for us. We don't need to do that.
When I differ, this is where we are like 100%.
Oh yeah, I
thought that was a pure genius move to be so ballsy to do that. Like, hey, I'm gonna come right now.
No.
No, touch.
You see me? I'm like, your main event was shitty. It was always shitty. Take your fucking medicine. Get your fucking booze. Don't fucking sit there and try and give me something better and then tell me that you're not. If you're going to give me something better, give me something better. If you're not going to give me something better, then just take your fucking lumps. That's it. Period. And, on that note, that will bring us to the end of the show. We would like to thank our opening all-arounder for Destruction. We're going to thank Michet for our closing, Picnic in the Reactor. Money in the Bank, or not Money in the Bank, I'm sorry. Hell in a Cell is going to be the next thing, isn't it?
Yes.
And let's hope they do something better this time. Let's hope they do something, because I don't know. I might not quit WWE, but there's a good chance I might quit Raw pretty soon. Because I like what's going on SmackDown for the most part. I don't know. What do you think?
I think this is going to be an interesting week all around. I think that what they're doing right now is spot on, awesome, with everything they're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really hoping for the best here, and everything. I mean, hell, if we can get something different going on than just the normal cut and paste. I mean, we're talking about post Brock now. So it's good enough that we already saw record-breaking title appearances already on Raw happening every week.
That's the other thing that pisses me off. I'm sorry. No, I'm not gonna go into a rant. We'll be here for another hour.
Yeah.
Go.
I need to know is what they're gonna do with the Shield, why they want the Shield. Stop making it work if it's not gonna work.
To cheer Roman. That's it.
Still not getting it.
Exactly.
Still not getting it.
Because they pulled this at Survivor Series and it's not going to work. Your tricks are not going to work. You blew it at Survivor Series. You blew it at SummerSlam. We know your tricks now. We're not playing.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to Hell in a Cell. Really am.
I am too. But like I said, I'm real close to quitting Raw. I'm not going to quit SmackDown.
Just an FYI though, the AJ match is definitely not in a cell. Based on the wording, it sounds like they are not in the Hell in a Cell.
Well, we'll see how that works.
Jeff,
if they're not in the cell, then they're missing a huge opportunity, I feel.
Oh, Wendy.
At any rate, thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for all of our contributors. Thanks to the Splice stream as well. And I'm your boy, Common the Faded Saint. That is my boy, Kane Super. What Snuka saying? We will see you on the next podcast.
Later, folks.